I never thought I'd wake up one morning and feel like my office had become a battlefield. The fluorescent lights hummed above my desk, and the familiar scent of coffee mingled with the faint metallic tang of printer ink. I, Jake, had been at Whitman Solutions for 5 years, quietly climbing the ladder, careful not to step on anyone's toes. But that day, everything shifted. It started when Laura, our project manager, called me into the conference room with that all-too-perfect smile. She had this way of looking like she trusted you completely, yet I always sensed something sharp beneath her polished exterior. "Jake, I need your input on the Carter account. It's delicate," she said, leaning against the table, tapping her nails lightly. I nodded, expecting a routine consultation, but her gaze lingered just a moment too long. Later that week, Mark, a new guy in sales who everyone whispered about, but no one knew much, pulled me aside. "Hey, Jake," he said, lowering his voice. "Laura's not telling you the full story. There's more going on with the Carter account than you know." I blinked, trying to reconcile what he was suggesting. Me, Jake, the careful one, suddenly in the middle of a game I hadn't realized I was playing. I didn't know whether to feel wary or curious, but curiosity won. The first shift happened when I overheard Laura on the phone, her voice a hushed melody of deception. She was negotiating a deal, yes, but she was cutting Mark and me out of the picture entirely. I felt a cold sting, realizing I'd been a pawn in her rise to favor with upper management. I confronted her, expecting denial, but instead she smiled that same serene smile. "Jake, you always take things so seriously. Nothing personal." And just like that, her words were a knife disguised as reassurance. I decided to ally with Mark, thinking we could uncover her real intentions. But he, too, held a secret. One evening, while reviewing documents in my office, I found evidence Mark had been feeding Laura information about my own projects. He'd been playing both sides, using me to advance his own standing. It felt like the walls themselves were closing in, every familiar face now a potential betrayer. Yet as chaos brewed, I noticed a subtle change. People began revealing truths unintentionally. Laura accidentally copied me on an internal email, exposing her attempts to sabotage a colleague who was underperforming. Mark, in a rush to fix one lie, admitted to a minor but telling scheme. I realized then that knowing the truth was a weapon. I kept my silence, adjusted my strategy, and waited. The final morning came quietly. Laura flaunted a big deal she had secured, taking all the credit, while Mark strutted like a victor, unaware that his missteps had been noticed by higher management. I walked into the meeting, calmly presenting the facts and successes of my team's work, giving credit where it was due, and subtly exposing the manipulations without ever mentioning names. The room shifted. Recognition turned toward me. I felt an odd mixture of relief and regret, realizing that ambition, unchecked, always leaves traces. By the end of that week, both Laura and Mark were assigned to different departments, their schemes dismantled, not by confrontation, but by truth itself. I stayed behind, quieter than ever, watching the office return to its ordinary rhythm. I learned a few things that week. Trust is fragile, and ambition can blind the cleverest of people. But integrity, even silent, carries a weight that manipulation cannot match. The world of work will always have games, but the safest way through them is to keep your eyes open and your conscience clearer than anyone else's. And for once, I was the one who saw it all and survived. Morale. In a world full of hidden agendas and betrayals, honesty and patience often triumph over cunning and deceit.